Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 265, and today we're doing battle with Norra Poppy Champion Strength. And so this is a deck I think is pretty interesting in the current meta. This is the version that Smooth Swalowist took to Worlds, had quite a bit of success with, and I think we're going to have the opportunity right now to have a fairly good amount of success with the champion strength. And so what we're kind of seeing in the meta right now, I got a little bamboozled in our previous video. It's like over the course of the weekend, ever since the new patch was released, the hotfix patch with the Aatrox nerfs, just been a big sea of aggro decks. It's just a bunch of the Lulu Jinx deck and discard Jinx and the likes of Pirates really making kind of a resurgence. And it feels like at the beginning of this week, people have started to adapt and start playing more mid-rangey decks. And so as you go and look at the kind of meta reports, the format is pretty wide open. I think the most played deck right now is still that Jinx deck, the Jinx Lulu version, but it's only at like 6% of the meta, and so it's a very kind of wide open format. But I think the thing that we're seeing with this format and why I'm kind of interested in bringing out the champion strength are the control decks haven't really come back around. Right, there is a smattering of Trundlemere, but that's only at like 3 or 4% of the meta, and I don't think anyone has really figured out what to do with the back alley bar decks, the Seraphine decks, that other piece of the meta that the control decks were really kind of taking home in. And so I think that leaves us with kind of an interesting space here, specifically with this version of Champion Strength, in that if we do find ourselves up against the likes of Pirates or one of the discard decks, we have lots of early game plays. There's the plays, of course, kind of commonly getting generated from Norra and the junk construct making the various portals, but more importantly, we have access to the fairies package with the likes of Grandfather Fae and Bandle Commando generating the one-cost fairy that we can then use to kind of interact with our opponent's aggression, and we just have this kind of mountain of card advantage that we can throw in front of the aggro decks. But once you kind of move away from those a little bit, we find ourselves in this kind of really mid-rangey space, and the just most powerful thing you can do against the mid-rangey decks is going to be Champion Strength. And so you can't get that sweet turn 5 kill anymore. I guess you can if you want to go and play Acorn, but realistically, the Champion Strength is going to be that kind of turn 6 or turn 7 kill. And I really like the kind of next piece that this the Swalowist list brings to the table, and that it's playing both Gleaming Lantern and Bandle City Mayor. It lets us get those really full boards, those boards completely full of 6 units, without having to do a bunch of weird stuff to make sure we can get the 3 banked mana to play our champion strength. Just getting the price discount from the mayor, the price discount from the lantern to add those additional fairies to the board gives us an easier route to get that full board without having to try and cheat on mana or reduce the cost of the champion's strength. And so it's kind of a tried and true deck. I've been pretty happy with this in this current format, so I wanted to bring it to you today. And this is what we're going to be doing battle with. And so let's go ahead and jump on in. I checked the pay to win price. Everything is all paid up with this deck. We are looking good to go. Everything is all premiumed out, except Norra. But everything else is looking pretty good. All right. Sejuani Gwen. This one should be a fairly tough matchup. One of the kind of trouble spaces that we'll run into with this deck in particular is going to be the overwhelms coming at us. And so as our strategy is to just put a bunch of shitty units on the board, right? We're going to add our Grandfather Phase and our Grumble Slugs and the like just to maximize the units that we have. We really want to get 6. As the opposing attacks come at us, we're going to kind of be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to block, right? As long as this game goes on, if I can keep my board full and get to my champion strength turns, then our game plan is going a-okay. But the overwhelms decks, the Sejuani Gwens, and more commonly going to be the Darius as the worlds, just kind of say LOL to our strategy and overwhelm through all of our cheap blockers. And so we'll see how this one plays out. I'm not really excited about the matchup, but we can still win a game or two. I ain't scared. So we'll go ahead and take the hit from the Vulpine Wanderer. I'm not quite ready to risk a Gleaming Lantern here, as we're about to start really powering up. We're going to get the 2 free mana on the current turn. We're going to get 2 free mana on this turn, and we're going to start trying to power through with this. And so I'm going to go with the Blast Cone Seedling and the Impact. It gives us the most aggressively oriented attack here, and we should be able to get a pretty good Ranger's Resolve this round. I think that we're going to be able to power through our opponent's board. I was hoping for a little bit more than Gwen, but I think this is okay. We're bringing everybody. So I don't care to trade away the Fizz. I just want maximum damage here. Could Ranger's Resolve pre-combat, but don't feel like it's quite necessary. We should hopefully be able to use the Ranger's Resolve a little bit more defensively and prevent some of the overwhelm damage coming through. Yeah, put that Gwen in front of a 3-attack unit, please. He doesn't do it. He doesn't take the bait. Alright. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Alright. Timely Norra. We need to start getting to the point to where we can attack around our opponent here. And so Norra does that fantastically with her elusive. Overwhelm onto Gwen. I dig it. I like what you're about. I'm just going to go ahead and pokey stick the face. I really want to be open attacking next turn, and so I want to see what unit we're able to pick up here, if anything, you know. Grandfather Fae was perfect. So it lets us add the Fae. We can still block a Ruthless Raider here, go for the trade, and then on the next, we'll still have a full board this turn, and then we can elusive our Fizz next turn and try and punch in that last bit of damage. So we'll just make a little block here. If he's got a Troll Chant or something, then, you know, great. But ideally, Bird will get the job done. Unspeakable Horror is pretty bad for us. That was not something that was on my radar. We could have blocked with a 2-health unit, but that's just a card I don't think I mean, maybe we should be expecting it these days, but it doesn't strike me as a card that should be too common. Probably just dead now. Well, we are presenting a lethal. We've got 4 from the seedling, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're close. It's out of 3 sisters. So he blocks Fizz, and then we're short of the lethal. Damn. Okay, GG. That's tough. And so we really needed to get that additional blocker off of the board. I'm not sure if we'd say, like, blocked with a fairy sprite, whatever those things are called, if we would have been able to take down the unit there. It's just kind of, I think the most common removal spell you're going to run into there is a Troll Chant, and I'm really not familiar with Unspeakable Horrors turning around. But at any rate, GG. On to the next one. And so, with this start, I'm good to hang onto the Bandle Commandos here. The problem that we're going to run into against Darkness is their removal suite can be kind of good against this early game stuff. Like, things like Quietus coming at us tend to be really problematic, but their early game removal suite is so varied. It's pretty tough to kind of like pick and choose what you think you're going to be up against. But I'm going to lead with the Bandle Commando. The Outcats are surprisingly strong against Darkness. It just soaks up quite a bit of their removal. So hopefully we're okay here. So he has the Quietus. It is what it is. We still got to protect our Norra a little bit. But ideally, you know, that unit would have gotten through. It's just the 1-health units here are never survivable, as they play like between Go Hard and Vile Feast and Group Shot and Pokey Stick, but specifically having Quietus is an actual real pain in the dick here. All right, let's see if we can't pick up some more big bros here. I'm fine with the Castaway. It's a pretty good deal. It only costs 1 mana at the end of the day. I was kind of hoping we could get another unit on board this turn, but it'll be fine. All right, no Lantern, but no Phase to go with it. Just pick up the combat reel. We're going to be here a while. We're going to be grinding through this one, and so I'm good to pick up the additional spell mana. Would have been nice to have like a quick attack. That would have been the ideal one, I think. Okay, opponent goes Conchologist. That's fine. We can still just play the Grumble Slug and attack into this stuff. Not upset about trading away a Bandle City Mayor. He's never gonna bring it. He's not playing the darkness. It's okay. No upsetties from me. There it is. All right, good job. All right, here comes the squad. I'm kind of curious if we did make the mistake on that first turn, that first unit we played. It feels like we probably did. I just like much rather have the much rather have the Jesus. What do you call it? The person that makes additional units. There we go. That's the one I would just much rather have on this turn. It's not here. All right, Piltover Castaway comes in. There is our quick attack thing. Sounds good to me. Still slightly awkward in the units that we're able to add to the board, but continue on. I guess like losing out on the mana from a Grumble Slug isn't that big of a deal. Let's drop in Norra and see what he does. If we get to add, say, like Norra, Gleaming Lantern, and Grumble Slug, that's going to feel like a win of a turn. So hopefully we just getting to spend off this 3 mana. I'm not like super interested in adding Poppy. She would be pretty good if she can successfully attack this round. It's just going to depend on when he drops the darkness. Then the other thing to like watch out for on this turn, is well, we do have Poppy and Grumble Slug, but we can't really play both of them, right? The Poppy costs 3 mana and the Slug costs. It's going to cost 2 mana after we add her to the board. Is that the way we want to go though? We probably do just want to add Poppy now. Like, he's limited to 3 mana. He can't play any more Darknesses this turn. We have a good attack with just Poppy and the Castaway. And I mean, you can realistically start to think about just playing Champion Strength on the opponent's turn. I know it's much stronger to get to attack twice with it, but a lot of value potential coming out of these. Okay. Interesting. Ooh, hang on, slow your roll. Oh, we can't play the combat reel again. I was like, dang, we got this 2 mana. Let's get the combat reel loaded up, but not quite there. Okay. Here comes the big board, friends. This is like, the Fae are so nice in the face of the Darkness deck, because you just get so much value out of those spell shields. Let's see what we can do. See how much we can add. May have done this like it. Probably sequenced this wrong. I was trying to like think in my head how we get out of this turn without getting blown up by darkness. But I think this is still okay. If we can add Poppy. We can add the Owlcat. Like, I don't think We're going to be at 7 mana next turn, so we're just going to have to open attack. If we go that way, let's just add 3 units to the board. So we can add Grumble Slug. Add a Lantern. This is where I was thinking we might have sequenced it wrong, as we could have played the Grandfather Fae for free, coming off of the Lantern, and so a little bit awkward there. And then if we play the Combat Reel, we'll still have 9 mana to open with next turn. Alright. See if that does it. He's going to try and chain off a bunch of removal spells, but it should be pretty tough for him to stop this. Come on, bud. Got Kitty trying to hang out. It's a different Kitty. You've been getting to see Pepper the past couple of videos. This is Bernie here today. Come on, bud. He's dumb. He can't figure out how to jump up here. Come on, bud. Just walks around in circles. I don't know what's better or worse. Like the Pepper, that's the cat that's been showing up. She'll just like jump. She'll just directly go and dig her claws into my arms on the way. This dum-dum just like walks circles around me because he can't figure out how to jump up here. But we'll see. Come on, bud. You can be a smart kitty. There you go. There you go. There he is. All right. Everybody needs a little bit of kitty in their day while they're waiting on the things. Say what up, bud. How you doing? All right, what do we got? An Event Horizon? Oh, fuck, that's not good. So we're only going to have 2 units that we get to attack with. They still might be able to present the lethal. We're, like, at worst taking down Vhagar here. But nice play. That was the Vhagar Event Horizon, right? He wasn't physically playing Event Horizon. I don't think you can see it on the thing. Yeah, it was Vhagar's. Okay. Opponent still says, bust, that's too much. Too much, my dude. People dropping the GG emote. That's so old, man. You got the world's 2022 good game emote. That's what it's all about these days. Uh-oh. He's not conceding. He says, we're still battling. All right, GG. Market a W for Team Bust. So, man, I was hoping to have a better, like, RNG moment to talk about it, but I'm not a billionaire, okay? I've been trying. I've tried real hard this week, if you follow the lottery. Is that something you do? Do you sit around and follow the lottery? The Mega Millions is over $1 billion. I attempted to win it earlier in the week and failed. You know, it's just the way life will go sometimes. You try your hardest to win the lottery and you just don't do it. But, you know, I tried and failed. And so, you know, no one hit it, though. Everyone else failed. And I kind of feel like we got our shot this week. We got a chance. We might be able to do it. And so I got my ticket. We'll see if I'm a billionaire in the near future, but you never know. My opinion, I think it's one of the best $2 you can ever spend. I'm not one of these dipshits that has realistic expectations of winning the lottery, but I do feel like if you look at like the cost to time spent ratio, or the cost to value ratio, if you will, I think it's pretty good. Like if you go to the movies, you go to look at the new Marvel movie coming out these days, and then you see that it's like $17 for a ticket, and then it's another $15 for your refreshments, and then it's like $10 an hour at the end of the day. If I get to think about that Lambo I'm gonna buy for just a few minutes, then then I've already gotten all the value that I needed. And so, we'll see. I'm likely to win this time, and we'll see how it goes. But I try to tie it into RNG. I never know how to play the old RNG game in the sense of, you know, if we're having an incredibly poor run at RNG, does that mean that we should run out and buy a lottery ticket because our chances have to change, or was the day just so bad that we should just be giving up on it at this point? It's tough, man. I can't quite figure it out, but you know, we'll see what happens this week, I guess. We'll see. And so here, I'm kind of tempted to take the Loping Telescope, but we should probably realistically just take the Minion. Make sure that we keep having this, you know, regenerating unit to put on the board. Doesn't have regenerate to get the last breath guy back and get the additional blockers. We just need a bit of time against opponent here. I'm just going to block all of his 2-power units, only taking 2 damage on the round, not that bad. And we can ideally win 2 turns from now. The frightening thing is always just Jinx, right? Jinx has, it's like even if we aren't worried about Jinx booming on us with getting to boom on us with just the death rockets to face, she does tend to kill just a lot of units in our deck. So we'll see. All of our stuff right now is just like bigger than what opponent is presenting, and so, you know, there's a decent chance we get to just attack this turn. That chance is gone, but it was getting there. It was getting close. Alright, so we'll just add the Minion. We can still play Fizz for free next turn if that's what it comes down to, and we're not going to attack with Norra, even before the Spear. I would just prefer to keep his board full. Let's say we attack, he's just going to replace his unit anyways, to where he's kind of at a disadvantage at the moment since he can't add more dudes. It's like we're just getting blasted though. Gonna take a 10 to the face. All right, well, he's down to 1 card. He needs it to be a get excited. Probably not even that. I mean, we're not gonna be presenting lethal without a little bit more stuff to add. Hitting a dude was good. Not gonna lie about that. We only got 10. We can't play our dudes anymore. We lost our good unit. We lost our Bandle City Mayor. Oh, he just drew it. Good job. That was his card out of the left. His other one was just jury rig. See? That's why we're talking about the RNGs, my friend. That's why the RNG talk comes in. You got to chit-chat about it on lottery ticket day. I'm pretty sure we prevented every single point of damage we could that game. And so that's what a lot of these come down to, is being able to stop all that. And so that's tough. But GG, well played. On to the next one. Okay, and so this hand, not that exciting against the Echo Zillion deck. It's something where I want to just kind of just dig for our power. Would really like to... I don't really like mulliganing for champion strength, but this is the kind of matchup where I would just like to find it. We're doing a very similar strategy to where we're both just putting really shitty units on the board, but their good cards are a little bit easier to find than our good cards because they do all of the predicting. So there's a champion strength. So we will have to watch ourselves. He did get the crystal thing on the first turn. I really hate this card and hope it's not in the game after this, after the rotation. But let's see what happens. Just go ahead and prevent it. You know, it is nice having the slightly larger units in the face of the Grumble Slug, or in the face of the crystal potential, but I don't think we can just sit and play around it all day. This should garner a Mystic Shot if he's got one, but I don't think we can pass on our Lantern. It's just way too good on this round. So the question will have to be, do we want to Inspired Light this turn? And probably not. It feels like we're fairly safe at this point. If he, I was gonna say, if he spikes a crystal, we are just gonna have to go for it. We can't risk just losing everything because he hit it. But we'll let that greed train roll on a little bit further. All right, didn't find it in that one, so we're safe for the turn. Right? He can't. He can't predict. Well, I guess you could have feral prescience, right? But it's very challenging for him to. Very challenging for him to have a predict and access to the crystal. All right, so we got a telescope. I'm just going to go for the full board. We got this Poppy in hand. We can look to add her next turn if we want, but it's like if we're going to Inspired Light this turn, then it's pretty dangerous to try and add the Poppy to the board. I think we can just say our board right now is just good enough. We just need to get back to the next attack token. So that we can champion strength. I mean, as it stands, we should realistically be able to just champion strength on the opponent's turn and win from there. Like, our board is big enough; he has to start doing some serious blocking. Here they come. All right, get him for 7.
Nice day, if you're into coughing.
Let's see. I don't want to add the Poppy, right? We're going to champion strength next turn. And the big worry when you're trying to do shit with champion strength against these opposing decks is their ability to play Rite of Negation on it. And so ideally, he's going to have to like play a card. Then we can champion strength on the round. Get our giant attack in. He's going to have to block with everything. And then on the follow-up turn, we can go for Poppy if we need to. See if he brings in a Mystic Shot. Nope. Cool. So not dealing with that quick attacking Echo. It's just a little bit too scary. We'll bring the attack in now. He doesn't have the mana to do a to do the Chrono Break, the 3 mana revive your dead dudes, and so this should be pretty crushing here. He's going to get to kill some stuff with Echo and the like, but his board's going to be gone, and we're getting real close to that lethal. So cool. Do you know what we did this game? We dodged the Hexite Crystal. Go us. That was a very fun and interactive game. Opponent predicted like 7 or 8 times. They didn't find their Hexite Crystal at any point, and we were able to jump ahead. Well done, us. It's just such a dumb card. Like that mechanic. I think it's okay to a degree. Like having things like drop border aren't that bad, but just such high-powered cards like the Hexite Crystal thing is just a little absurd. So here, we're just pushing some stuff in. You know, we'll get him to spend all of his mana, and then we can follow up with Pokey Stick. I didn't want to give him an opportunity to play a slow card. There shouldn't be any slow cards that really matter, but we didn't need to give him that opportunity. Hey, there's the crystal. He found it.
Real good to see you.
Boop. GG. So you let me know, opponent. I can only see the C on his name now. You let me know, C. How do you feel about our chances in the Mega Millions tonight? Are we are we primed and ready to win since we dodged your Hexite Crystal RNG for so long? Or should we just rip up the ticket before the numbers are even drawn? See if we can get a refund on that $2. You let me know, friend. You let me know. Right, on to Trundlemere. So this hand is not a keeper. We need more of our cheaty cards. We need a lot of the early game aggression kind of stuff. A little bit better here. This is a matchup to where the Fae, the Owlcats are quite strong. You know, they don't have a lot of great answers to them. This is a very early signpost. This is one of the decks to where it's extremely relevant. There are a lot of buried in ice and a lot of ruinations running around. Oh, sure. So what do we got? I'm okay with something like a little bit more mid-rangey in this game. Scholarly Climber should be good. Just having another spell-shielded unit feels like a win. RIP Bandle City Mayor. Do we want to drop it this early, though? It's a valid question. Like, he did just play a Quietus, so our Norra should be kind of okay. And then we'll see what he does after the fact, if we want to play Grandfather Fae or not. Well, sometimes you got all the Quietus. And Trundle. Alright. We're still okay. We just need to have a successful champion strength, which it's a little unfortunate that we lost all that stuff and that it's now going to be a few turns away before we're able to really get it going. Right, we can champion strength next turn, but we only get to spend 3 mana on units. It's not going to happen. If we had our Bandle City Mayor still, we could kind of catch up, but I don't think that's going to be the case here.
Things we do for a little insight.
Okay. Interesting face sprout. Dang, it's like you're hoping to hit on the you're hoping to hit on the rainbow fish, since we already had the scholarly climber. Didn't find it. The Owlcat or the living library should be pretty decent here. It's like we might have to spend it to just try and take down the ice pillar. That's unfortunate. Maybe we inspired light here so we have a second unit to battle with the ice pillar. Here comes something not fun. I can already tell you. I can already tell you this isn't going to be a fun one. But what do we got? It's nice. I mean, if we can get this pillar off of the board and then preserve our big units for next turn, so that we get the chance to save our living library in the face of whatever he's doing. So we did get the takedown on the first thing. I don't think he recognized the spell shield on the scholarly climber. He seems a little boozled about what's happening here. Not fully boozled, you know. Not completely bamboozled, just little boozled. Just boozled right now. And so, I think this is tough. Like, the new question that you have to kind of ask yourself is, like, how bad is it if we play champion strength and then he just has buried in the ice? And it's pretty bad, right? And you can get around it, but you have to wait until turn 10 to have the full 13 mana to do the signposts into champion strength. But are we still strong enough at the point to where we can get away with this game without having to do that? And we might be. I mean, his only unit right now is Trundle. We have this nice elusive on the board with the Living Library. We can bang, right? we have some defense here. Now he's got Tryndamere. Alright, so I think we just want to go with the Blast Cone Seedling. We can drop it with Barrier, potentially. It's not going to be super common, but something we have potential for. Now we have to worry a little bit about the likes of a Atrocity on an upcoming turn, and so I'm going to want to throw a blocker in front of Tryndamere. The Poro Herder seems good enough. So we have that question, right? Are we strong enough to make it through the opponent's next attack without this champion strength working? And we have some blockers, but it doesn't look that great. And so we need to 2-bank into the next turn. Should be able to add a Fae. Should be able to add an Owlcat. And then, like, I guess if things go wrong enough, we can still just have the second Owlcat back. It's not enough of a blocker, though. And so, yeah, it's just buried in the ice that matters. Ruination we can kind of get around, right? He'll lose his Trundle. Tryndamere will come back, so then he would need Tryndamere and Atrocity. You typically only play one Atrocity in these decks, and so I think that angle is probably okay. But, it's nasty. Second champion strength. It just seems like it's too brutal if this goes wrong with the champion strength. And so I think we can... This is probably just good enough, right? No need to kill off Tryndamere. We get in a chunk of damage and then we can try and signpost 2 turns from now. Okay, I like it. Get rid of that Bandle City Mayor. I don't think we're going to need it. Void Abomination. that's a one we could go for. Much expense from him. And Blighted Ravine. Okay. So are we gonna have enough health here? We have 6 to throw in front of his big boys. Alright, well, we're alive, I guess. This hand has been disaster mode in terms of the more recent draws with these drawing all these champion strengths. Not having the ability to refill here is pretty devastating. Say LOL Quietus, right? Alright, well, that buys us a turn. Buys us a turn. We don't have any more signposts. This one's gonna be done. Alright. So that's tough. I mean, when you're sitting there, like there's so much stuff that can just completely go wrong in that space. Maybe you just have to go for it, right? Like when you're not necessarily ahead like that, but it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to word it. It's just in the sense that like how often do things go wrong there to where you just end up dying? I don't remember what the life totals were, but we probably did just die to atrocity. I thought we kept ourselves high enough, but maybe that wasn't the case. But then it's like maybe you just have to accept that you die to their one ofs, right? I'm not. It's just like so tough when you don't know the numbers, right? If we're playing in seasonals, then you could see the deck list and you'd be like, oh, opponent has 0 copies of Buried in the Ice, then we can just kind of go for it here. Or opponent has 1 copy of Buried in the Ice. I'm not going to play around 1 copy, but as you start to see the list these days that play like 2 copies of Buried Advice and 1 copy of Ruination. If your opponent's playing then they're 3 cards and we're on turn 8 of the game, there's a pretty decent chance that they have 1 copy of those 3 at that point. And so I I think at the end of the day we probably should have just been going for it. Like if he didn't have any real units on the board, like if he'd played a real grind fest of removal spells and he only had like 1 Trundle or he only had the 1 Tryndamere, then maybe we could have looked to have punched through with just the elusive and waited. But I think at that point when he's like online with the majority of his deck, that we probably just have to go for it. But like on the next like equation, I've like only really talked about the removal spell end of it. Like what happens if we go for it and then opponent has Feel the Rush, which is a very realistic option for them to have there, and that sounds really painful. We could have maybe done enough damage because of our elusives, but we're never lethaling with the ground based units there, and so that's tough. That's a tough way to try and make your way through. But on to the next one. That's just in general a rough matchup. But I don't know. You probably just have to go for it and hope for the best. It's like we're not in a spot to really be like, well, I guess we might have taken that one poorly in the sense that we didn't like try and take advantage of Poppy. Like maybe we should have just said like champion strength isn't a card in our hand, and we need to win the game with Poppy, and we need to protect ourselves with the signpost. But like with the way that that board was set up, we only get 1 attack in with Poppy because she's not big enough to survive against a Trundle. But we did play an early Inspired Light, so a lot going on with that game. A lot of stuff happened, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, but that's tough. I think we just had to ride the signpost, though. I think that my last thought on it before we go is we probably should have just been more aggressive. We should have just been throwing our units away into Trundle, and then protected ourselves with the signpost. I think that's the answer at the end of the day. So Grandfather Fae should be fairly safe here. If opponent has a rock hopper, then we have to slow down for a turn. But we can really start building up nice boards with the double Grandfather Fae and all of the extra strong Owlcats. You going to attack now? There's no way you're just attacking now. You would have attacked before if you were going to. Alright, so let's get as many of these friends as we can on the board. Definitely happy to have the junk construct. We'll add the Owlcat as well. I think we're okay to trade away both of our Owlcats here. This isn't a deck that has a ton of ways to interact with them. Send the squad in. He'll get 1 good block on Bird, but we do still have the Pokey Stick in hand, and we should be able to refill before our champion strength turn rolls around. Get in there, Bird. You're too expensive, Gleaming Lantern, but we can still add the Bando Commando. Champion Strength will have a 1 in 3 chance of hitting this portal on the next turn as well, but Should be enough for a lethal if it resolves and doesn't get hit with Rite of Negation.
Baddies beware, Mama's got a gun.
So this is like, maybe we should have held the bird back. That's the one I'm not excited about that happened, but I'm pretty strong as it is. If he has like a quicksand to stop a lot of this, then it's tough to have a lot else to do on the turn. All right, let's see what that 1 mana will get you. Not enough. GG. All right. Yeah, so we probably should have held that 1 bird back. I got a little aggressive there. It's like I start seeing the sweet value plays in my head. It's like, oh, this bird's never going to attack through these 3 health units. Let's go ahead and get that point of damage in so we can do our pokey stick. But we really focused in on the forest, or focused in on the trees and kind of missed the forest that is champion strength. Still enough for lethal, though. Go us. Good job. On to, what is this? Callista Kindred with Norra. Interesting. Just 1 copy of Norra, but I think we should be reasonably strong against this stuff. Alright, get that big aggro construct going. See what turns up. Norra. Gotcha. Norra on Norra action. Very hot. So you should only have 1 copy of her. It's not like he's a Norra build around or something. But let's just get as much stats on the board as we can. We'll drop Poppy next turn. Hopefully we'll have some success. Let's see if she gets blown up by Quietus or not. If we had a pokey stick, I could see being a... Oh, we did just draw pokey stick. As I say, if we have the pokey stick, I could see being a little less aggressive. But, I mean, the way that this is going to pan out, since we have the champion strength, is we're going to roll around to our next turn and just try and go for it. And so we should probably just be a little protective of our units. Poppy should be enough to protect everything except 1. And then we still have the mana to play Junk Construct next turn if something along those lines fails. But it seems like she's safe. He hasn't snapped off a Quietus. Maybe he'll just like drop a Vengeance on it or something. Okay. So I'm going to leave the Grandfather Fae back. It's the only one that doesn't trade with the fading icon. This feels like it's just a little too dangerous. All right, definitely like seeing him with an empty board, though. We're going to look to add Norra here. The thing that we have for next turn with this champion strength is she can be lethal on her own, right? If she's a 5 attack, a 5 attack elusive scout. So, the hell is this? Ew, that's a good unit. Well, let's see how this goes. This is kind of a similar spot to the previous round, as to where if, like, he has to Vengeance Norra to stop this, then great. You know, we're probably just winning anyways from that point. We'll get 1 attack in, kill all of his units, and get a 2nd attack for the kill. He needs to be in this spot to where he can kill like 2 or 3 of our units before the champion strength pops off. All right. Taking it down. GG. Team bust. We should ask all the opponents how they feel about the lottery. How you feel about it? How was your RNG that game? Was it good? Was it bad? All right, up against the Iron Chicken. Whatever Yasuo's doing these days, he's got it. He's got it. So I'm going to mulligan everything away here. I want more of our engine kind of cards if we can find them. Not really wanting to start with Grumble Slugs. Grumble Slug, like he's the one I'm kind of questionable about in terms of this list. Like when you're able to play a turn 5 champion strength to just end so many games super fast, like that's one thing. But now that you can't make that play, his value is a little bit lower. So not entirely certain how I stand on that. All right, we've been shut down for the turn. It's okay, I think. Yasuo is much scarier, though. Are we ever just gonna, like, open attack next turn? Like, if we play Poppy, we could look to Inspired Light right now and then open next turn. I think that's okay. He's going to attack. Let's just pass. If he doesn't attack, I think that's okay as well. I mean, maybe. It's a little less awesome, I guess, but I think we're fine.
Wouldn't be a quest without some danger.
There's no 2-mana stuns, right? Don't have to worry about Yasuo getting crazy on one of our constructs before we play a card. These should all be safe. Alright, here comes the squad. God, that's so tough. Like, what's the worst thing that happens here, right? Is that he plays, like, either a Solari Sunhawk, which is going to stun our Poppy, and then we still get to follow up with a bunch of units. Or, like, if we attack, he's going to have a stun for Poppy, that's fine. Then the rest of our guys are kind of ignorable. It's just like we have the Gleaming Lantern, and then we can play another Lantern. It's like I was really intent with the open when we only had one Lantern, because you can't really follow up with a bunch of stuff on board. But with the second Lantern, you have to kind of stop and think about it a little bit. Do you think they'll rotate out Yasuo just to get this dum-dum out of the game? At what point are you going to say Yasuo has just been complete garbage for the past 3 years? And so let's just get rid of him, you know? That was always kind of a meme for me back when we were playing Expedition. It always felt like Yasuo was just like one card away from being good. And then he was just literally never... The card never came. Just 2 years of Expedition of just waiting for one more card. All right, there's a Yasuo block. I assume there's some kind of combat trick happening. You got it. And a Steel Tempest onto Poppy. Okay, not a bad turn. I'm curious what he does next turn in terms of trying to answer our Poppy. I can't imagine that he wants to just let her hang out. All right, going back with the Piltover Castaway. I mean, is that where we want to be? The Mecha Caster is quite strong. It's just our mana wasn't really designed to be able to play a card like this. But if we get to open attack 2 turns from now and give that bonus to everything, that's pretty huge. I think we have enough stuff we can just put on the board to where maybe it's okay. Maybe I'd feel better if we had just like one more 1-drop or something, but we'll see. I'm hitting a portal, though. I forgot we even had a portal. That was just the first one. So there is a world where he just doesn't get to attack, right? Well, he's gonna send in the Blade Twirler, I think. All right, let's see what he's got. It's just like he's got to this point to where he's starting to run out of mana. And I'd like to make sure that we have a full board, but it's like if he's going to do something nasty to our Poppy, I'd like to be able to get our Poppy back. It seems like that's not really on the table at this point. This has got one Yasuo. It is like worried that if he passes, how bad is this going to be, right? But I mean, if you're just like letting this stuff hang out, that seems like a horrible day. Okay. So Lantern, Lantern, Norra. We'll have our full board. Send in the squad. He does have that Steel Tempest in hand to try and shoot down our Poppy, but I think that's okay. There's a lot of damage coming at you. He's got to start giving up his good units. Right, you want to be like playing Steel Tempest either for a kill, which you can't do, or you want to do things like shut down Norra, but then if you have to block with your Blade Twirler and stuff, all your good units are just going to die. Really surprised to see. It's lined up on Poppy right now. You can see that if you watch the highlighting. Nothing highlighted right now. You highlight the Steel Tempest, you can see it puts a circle around Poppy. It seems to me like, why wouldn't, if you're just going to be like blocking, right, you're going to probably have to block with the Blade Twirler this turn. Why aren't you just throwing it in front of Poppy to get her off the board instead of letting her stick around and keep giving all of our units the bonus?
Oh, it's on.
Unless Yasuo's going to flip. He's not flipping right now. He needs a second stun to flip her. It's like he's rearranging that a little bit. Okay.
Underestimated. I dare you.
Maybe I do have a future.
We are down to 6. I'm getting a little worried. I'm trying to think of a way that this deck can still punch in for a lethal. It's maybe. There's maybe something there. The question now is like, do we want to use this Keeper's Verdict to send away the Yasuo? Just to make opponents spend the mana. I think I'm okay with this. Like, I don't... Like, I'd love to have our Poppy on board still, of course, but... if we don't have her at the end of the turn, it's still okay. Now, these cards are both cheapened up by our Bandle City Mayor. So we can still play both next turn if that's what it comes down to. I want to get the barrier on the seedlings, what's happening, but... I think we can probably just throw him away if that's what it comes down to. We just need to come out here and not die.
Our sun will not set today.
Solari thing. Okay, so yeah, we're really counting on the Mecha Caster +2 attack. Seems like, it feels like opponent should be at like 3. Like I can look at it and tell that that's not the case, but that's what it feels like the space we should be in is.
Blade never gets any lighter.
So we do need to block both. Just if he has a Pale Cascade, then we're in a bit of a bind. Do we want to just let this roll? That's too greedy, right? That's just a little too greedy. It's just like he's got 4 blockers though, and he's going to get 1 stun. We're just never lethaling next turn. We gotta go. We gotta go for the greedies here. Because now if we hit a portal, we have some potential for lethals. We're probably not going to lethal, but we should hopefully at least be able to clear out his board. And we missed. F.
Off we go.
Alright, this game should be done. We should be dead in this one now.
Believe or burn.
Unbeliever!
Not even lethal, he gets to keep his Yasuo back. Okay, GG. Oof. Didn't pick up the necessary champion strength to finish that one off. But not a bad set of games. I still think this deck is kind of an interesting and strong idea in the sense that, as we saw with a lot of those games, right, there's just a lot of things like Yasuo running around. That should still be a fairly strong matchup. It just comes down to whether or not you draw champion strength and then they have deny for it. And so the vast majority of the time you should be doing quite strong against Yasuo. That was just kind of an odd win there to where we didn't quite get the capable win. We had some big decisions in that one in terms of using our inspired lights and our poppies, and I'm sure the smooth swallow probably would have taken down this game and probably taken down the other one. We were having inspired light issues, but nonetheless, I like the ideas of that's happening with this deck. Again, it's really good against the kind of aggro end. That the aggro game that we lost was to a top deck right at the end, and so I was quite happy with how that one went. But the width that you generate from all these units is quite strong against the aggro decks of the current format, and then the champion strength is enough to close out the game against any mid-rangey deck in the format. And so it does leave you in the space to where there are, of course, some bad matchups, right? We talked about the overwhelms that are a problem, and we talked about the big control decks like Trundlemere that are a problem, but that's such a small percentage of the field that when you're in this space of just play good decks, right, since the format is so varied, I think that this one fits in there quite nicely. And so in terms of the changes of Worlds to now, I could definitely see taking out Grumble Slug. Like, again, the Worlds was a different monster in the sense that Champion Strength only cost 8 mana. So if you had 3 spell mana on turn 5, then you could pop off a Champion Strength and win the game. And so there was a lot of reason to play these cards like Gleaming Lantern and Bandle City Mayor that let you play cards for 0 or 1 mana. So you could build to having that full board or 4 or 5 units on the turn 5 when you're dropping the Champion Strength. You can't do that anymore, right? Because it costs 9 mana now. But with like that change being made, it's like, how do we make the change to this one to make it fit in a little bit better? And I think the Grumble Slug could go. Otherwise, the things you look towards with Champion Strength are, can I have 2 elusives on the board, right? If you have 2 elusives on the board, you can make the 2 5/5 scouts with elusive and then attack for 20. You see that a lot more in the Jinx variations of this, but I could definitely see an argument for adding in another copy of Bandle Commando to really just kind of like assist with that kind of board state. Otherwise, it just felt like it was missing a little bit of punch, right? I feel like we ran into too many of these games to where we had a completely full board, but we weren't taking advantage of it enough. And so I could see an argument to where you probably just cut Fizz, play Poppy, and then play 3 copies of Poppy, and then look to play a Rally. And I think that gets you in kind of the space to where you have that punch that you're looking for. And so I think at kind of the end of the day, right, that's why you're playing 2 copies of Poppy, is because you're going for that champion strength play. But I think now that the format's a little bit slower, you just kind of cut Fizz, play 3 copies of Poppy, and then you can look to cut out the face sprout. That's mainly here. It's an odd card in that it mainly just works as kind of like a Fizz activator, but it replaces itself. I think you can kind of cut that as well, and then replace these Grumble Slugs, fit in like 1 or 2 copies of Golden Aegeus, and then maybe an additional way to protect your Poppy. And I think that you're going to be kind of good to go. I feel like we were really good at getting the full boards, but not at the best at taking advantage of them. And that's what I would look to upgrade with this style of deck. And so, good stuff. I had fun with it. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.